Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and today I'm talking about a weapon that is near totally ignored in BF1, and I actually think it might be a hidden gem, or at least a hidden rough gem, like a diamond with a few scratches on it or something. That weapon is the Hellriegel Defensive. No, not the factory, which is glued to about half of the player base's hands. I'm talking about its ugly sibling. For those of you who aren't aware how I go about these videos, you're currently seeing some highlight plays of the weapon in my hands, which will then be followed by some of my kills shown concurrently from a few games, so you can get an accurate idea of how the weapon performs on a gunfight to gunfight basis. Anyway, how did I get to thinking about today's concept? Well, the video I released previous to this one was on the SMG08, which you guys voted as the best SMG in BF1 in a poll that I created. I'll link to that video in the description and my pinned comment in case you haven't seen it, as that weapon will be our main comparison for this video. And in that video, I essentially came to the conclusion that the SMG08 is held in such high regard because it's essentially a hybrid of a close quarters slaying spray and pray SMG and a high ammo capacity SMG. Basically, it's not very well balanced. And one of the statements I made in that video was that the Hellriegel Defensive is nowhere near as popular due to it being notoriously harder for the community to use and potentially unlock. And this got me thinking afterwards, is it actually harder to use? Or are we just ignoring it? Perhaps we're comparing its ease of use against the Hellriegel factory, and thus we maybe have a skewed viewpoint of the defensive's traits and deficiencies. So I decided to find out, because some more variety in my experience and potentially yours sounds like a great idea. And also, if the Hellriegel Defensive is good, it would solve a significant problem that I see. That problem being, well, say you really want to go mega aggressive, push vast amounts of enemies one after another and get some serious feeds. What's currently available? The Hellriegel factory and the SMG08 factory, right? They're the common choices due to the ammo capacities. And what is almost everyone sick of seeing now? The very same guns. So if the Hellriegel Defensive can do the same job, well, happy days, people. Now, I do have somewhat of an idea as to what the Hellriegel Defensive is about, due to having made a video on it when it initially came to the game. If you want to see that coverage, then I'll also link to that video. But I've learned a lot since then, and the game has also changed a lot since then. So I went into this with an open mind. But before we look at in-game weapon stats and blah blah blah, here's some context for the situation we're looking at. If weapon popularity was sibling popularity, the blue line for the Hellriegel factory is the child that went on to become the next Stephen Hawking. The grey line of the SMG08 factory is little Frederick, who holds down a pretty good job at a local law firm. And the orange line at the bottom, that's the Hellriegel Defensive, otherwise known as John Bob the unpopular brother, who kicks and spits at people who walk past his house. Got it? Good. So stats. And the main thing that people tend to think is that the Hellriegel Defensive is unwieldy. It has poor stability, you can't hit your shots, etc. And sure, it's worse for recoil than the Hellriegel factory, but do you know what it's better than? The SMG08 factory. Yes, honestly, it's got almost exactly the same vertical recoil and significantly superior horizontal recoil. It actually recoils less than the so-called best SMG in the game, at least according to your recent votes. So we can throw the idea of it being too unstable straight out of the window. And honestly, if you know what you're doing, you really can control the recoil pretty well the vast majority of the time. Just use it at close to medium-ish range. Although for some reason, I have noticed that you seemingly can't change the magnification of the weapon at this point in time, which is a shame because usually reducing that does help to reduce the visible recoil of the weapon. But regardless, I personally still find it to be more than usable. And I'm on console, so on PC, it's probably a breeze to use for good mouse and keyboard users. Now, it does have worse recoil decrease and spread decrease than the SMG08, which makes it weaker in the true mid-range and for burst firing, but that's not really what we're focusing on here. I mean, I don't think anyone picks the SMG08 for versatility or range dominance. But you know, if you did want to add those two factors to your close range capabilities, you'd be better off with the Hellriegel Defensive. And you might be saying, well, hold on, GetGoodGuy, that doesn't make any sense after what you've just said. And you'd be correct. But that's because we haven't talked about the bipod, which the Hellriegel Defensive has. So suddenly, if you can get used to using the bipod in the correct moments, you absolutely have mid to long range capabilities. And I mean, you really do, as you've seen and will see in some of the clips today. Yes, it will take a fair few rounds at long range. This is an SMG after all, not an LMG. But you can absolutely kill people with this thing in a way that you just can't with most other SMGs. It's not as reliable as the Ribber Relay's bipod, but we're talking about simply adding some range to an SMG which can be a close quarters spray and pray slayer, which in all honesty the Ribber Relay is not. At least not in the way the Automatico is, the SMG08 is, etc, etc. But the Hellriegel Defensive is, at least to some extent, because it has the same basic spread stats as the SMG08, including for hipfire. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm not saying that the Hellriegel Defensive simply does what the SMG08 can and throws range capabilities on top. That's not the case. It has the same time to kill as the Hellriegel factory, meaning that it falls behind the SMG08 for raw killing potential. It's got a slower rate of fire by 120 rounds per minute and a lower max damage by 1.5 hit points. But all is not lost. Just because it can't match the SMG08 doesn't mean it's not viable at close range. This is still an SMG, and I can back this statement by stating that the Hellriegel Defensive has a time to kill which is just shy of the Automaticos out to 12 meters. So at close range, it kills far more quickly than you might imagine, which can then be paired with that insane 120 round drum mag. The 81 rounds that the SMG08 has, one of the key reasons why people like that weapon, is dwarfed by this thing. The Hellriegel Defensive carries nearly 50% more. Throw on top that the Hellriegel Defensive has the same reload time as the SMG08 from empty, and its tactical reload is faster, and well, you have a decision to make. A decision that almost nobody is currently even considering, because they don't see the Hellriegel Defensive as being a factor. That decision is for when you want to be aggressive, rush the enemy, and stack up kills to create feeds. Do you want the faster time to kill and somewhat better mid-range standing capabilities of the SMG08 factory, or the higher ammo capacity and added overall range bipod capabilities of the Hellriegel Defensive? Whichever your selection is, the Hellriegel Defensive is far more viable an option than the community seems to realize. It's absolutely a factor and can do some real damage, and honestly, I will genuinely be selecting this weapon on some occasions from now on, possibly even over the SMG08 for some situations. If you ask me, it's absolutely a hidden gem in Battlefield 1. So what do you think? Are you now keen to try out the Hellriegel Defensive? Do you already enjoy it? And would you be happy to have an option that isn't the Hellriegel factory or the SMG08 factory, whether it be you using it or someone using it against you? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating would be genuinely appreciated, as would a subscription if you're new here, and turn on those notifications with the bell button if you don't want to miss future content because YouTube sucks. Now let's go over to the Board of Awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. That support is part of the reason I'm able to do this full time, so thanks to every single person on here. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.